How do you even say like, what's up guys? Like, do we even say that?
Welcome back to the channel.
What is up?
Hello.
Becky and Chris here.
Salutations.
What do you at, guys? Welcome back to our channel. Today we're gonna be talking about how to shoot professional real estate videos using a gimbal, which is the one and only tool you really need. Well, besides a camera and a lens and a card and a battery. It's the only accessory that you should really be bringing to these shoots because it's what makes real estate videos look good. We're gonna be sharing some tips and tricks, what lenses to use, mistakes people make when using a gimbal, and I'm gonna be sharing my personal shot list. This is my go-to shot list every time I shoot a room for myself or for clients.
Cue the intro.
So today's video is sponsored by Zhiyun, and we've been saying this name wrong for 3 years.
Zhiyun crane.
Zhiyun crane V2 version 2.
Zhiyun crane. The Zhiyun crane.
Do you know how hard it is to get Zhiyun out of your vocabulary after you've been saying it for so many years? Years.
I still don't know if we're saying it correctly.
But we're really excited when they reached out because we've been getting back into doing home renovations, home tours, and of course with that comes ultimate gimbal use because you cannot shoot a room or real estate for that matter without a gimbal. Zhiyun just released their Crane 2S and we were super excited because they've made some massive improvements from the old gimbal that we've been using. It has a better payload, it feels good, it's made of carbon fiber, battery life is better, I think it lasts for 12 hours or something, so that's amazing if you have a full house to shoot.
Just a lot of nice touches.
Also, with the A7S III on the way, I'm really excited because we've been flying our 6400 on our old crane, but now we can shoot full frame room tours, low light juiciness.
So you've been shooting real estate content forever.
So many years. For me, shooting real estate was the most lucrative part of my business for the last 10 years. So if you can get into real estate and if you can shoot both video and photography,
one-stop shop.
One-stop shop. I know it's COVID and it's weird to be shooting real estate right now. It's kind of difficult.
Have them out of the house, wear a mask, be safe.
And also bring hand sanitizer and maybe some wipes. Getting those long, sweeping, kind of walk-through shots are really the only way to show off a space and get the essence of what the space looks like, feels like, what the vibe is.
Something that people don't realize is that when you shoot photos, you're shooting it from one perspective. But having like a simple, even a simple camera movement, just going through the space a little bit, it provides so much more perspective. And it really gives someone a sense of what the space looks like, even if it's a simple single shot that's just moving on one dimension.
When you're getting those shots, you're gonna obviously wanna pair this gimbal camera setup with a wide lens because you wanna see as much as possible. So I have two go-to lenses I always use for real estate, and I think you can back me up on this. 16 to 35, we use the f4, but I recommend the f2.8 version for those wide shots that you're gonna get, those big wide sweeping shots, those wide room shots, those walkthrough shots, and then the 24 to 70 f2.8 for detail shots, close-up shots.
We give these focal length recommendations. We're talking about using those focal lengths on a full frame camera. So if you're using a crop body, you'll have to use a wider lens. So for example, the 16 to 35 would be more akin to like a 10 to 22 millimeter lens.
When you're shooting real estate, you want to get a variety of shots. You don't want to just get wide shots or just get close-up shots. This is my go-to shot list every time I shoot a house. The first shot on the list is the wide sweeping shot. This is where you're going to show the full space in its entirety. I think this is the lead shot of the room. This is the most important shot.
Use the entrance, have that dynamic shot when you're coming through, and use the entrance. You're coming through the doorway. So this is what it feels like if you're actually entering the room yourself, and you can give the viewer that first impression as if they were really there. The learning curve for using a gimbal is very shallow. I used to do this stuff with homemade Steadicam that I built from like spare parts at the hardware store. A duct tape weight on the bottom.
Yeah.
But it was basic, but it got the job done, but it was very hard to use. And it took many takes.
Many. The key to the shot is the wide lens. I like to go 16 millimeters on a full frame camera, again, to get the full view of the room. When you're doing this wide sweeping shot where you're walking through the entry of the space and you're following the flow, this is the biggest mistake that people who are using gimbals do. It's not doing the Steadicam creep.
Even though you have a stabilizer, you still have to kind of walk a little bit funny, like you're creeping and tiptoeing around. I feel like the Pink Panther music has to be playing.
Oh. You don't want to get a copyright strike, Chris.
Well,
it's too realistic.
We can use the stabilizer will take out shakes and rolls and pitch rolls and yaws and all that. The whole unit is moving like this, like a sine wave, because you're walking and bouncing. No stabilizers in the world is really going to take that out. But what you can do to try to minimize that is you can do more of a flashlight mode, if you will. If you push up like this, it's going to bounce the camera. But if you're down like this, like a lever, it's going to move. It's going to bounce a little bit less.
Remember, Steadicam creep, flashlight mode for the wide sweeping shot. Once you get that ticked off your list, we can move on to the next shot, which is the panning shot. If you're shooting for, say, like a contractor and they've hired you to come shoot the before and afters of their space, if they're doing a full renovation, then what I like to do is start from each corner of the room and I'll pan from right to left, and then I'll go top to bottom. And I'll do that from each corner. So you're gonna wanna do that for the before shot and the after shot. So when you go to cut together the edit, you can show the left to right panning shot from the before and pair it with the left to right after shot, and it will line up, and so you can really get an idea of what's been done to the space.
You can do like a star wipe.
Don't do a star wipe.
Star wipe.
Don't do a star wipe.
I used to ride my bike all over St. John's and surrounding areas with this massive behemoth tripod strapped to my back.
Insane.
We've been using that same Manfrotto 503 tripod for probably 19 years.
Has it been that long? Are
been-
we that old?
I think it was 2001. So it was a nice surprise when we found that the plate that came with the Crane 2S actually fit our old blunderbuss tripod.
Pairing a gimbal with a fluid head tripod is awesome because you can do these panning shots with a fluid head tripod.
But you can actually use a gimbal for that by just using the joystick, because holding the joystick over at a constant pressure will actually give a perfectly uniform pan. Positive thing is, if you don't want to bring a tripod to a shoot, just use the gimbal. The negative is the gimbal itself, you have to find something to set it on, so you're going to be limited to using like a table or stacked up chairs, which is kind of a bit of a liability. But regardless if you're using a tripod with a fluid head in your panning or a gimbal in your panning, be careful with how fast you pan if you're using a lower frame rate, like 24 frames per second. If you choose 24 frames per second to get that more cinematic feel, just be mindful when you pan left to right or right to left, anything that's vertical may have a stutter effect if you go too fast, which can be distracting.
Same when you're doing that push-in shot that we talked about at the very beginning, that wide sweeping shot, same thing goes there. Take it nice and slow while you're doing that. The next shot on my go-to shot list is the detail shot. And this may not be necessary if you're shooting a home that's going up on the market for sale. There's so much in those that kind of almost tell a story about the space.
What you're trying to do is you're trying to invoke an emotion
Right.
in the potential buyer, and having these little vignettes and having these details, while they don't necessarily come with the house, they're almost saying, hey, this is what you can do with the house or the property. If you can get that person to become emotionally vested in the property, that's gonna lead to a sale.
For the detail shot, this is where the 24-70 comes in.
So in this case, we're gonna switch to a longer focal length. We're gonna use the 24-70 f2.8. So we're going to swap this lens. Again, I've never had a gimbal that could fly a lens this heavy. There you go. Okay, so that's locked in. Can now take off this lens here.
So the Crane 2S has an improved motor. So we're able to fly the A7R4 on this gimbal. It is a full frame camera, it's heavier, but we're also able to put heavier lenses on there as well. So we can use the 24-70 when it comes to the detail shots with no issue. So within the detail shot, we have 4 other shots. Okay, so add this to your shot list. The slow pan detail shot. Panning around a detail is easiest with a gimbal to get a nice, steady, long shot. You want to hold on that shot.
It's kind of more of an orbit, where you orbit around something.
In this case, you know, we put up these lights here in this room, so we thought that was a nice element that added some ambiance. Can't put that in. That's
Yeah, I'm putting that in for sure.
Do not put that in.
Ambiance.
I hate that word. But
Genre.
Yeah. Genre. It adds sort of to the mood of this space. So I think it was a nice element that we could feature. Also, that kind of leads to the next point. 2 points actually. First is the color temperature of these lights. Normally, I don't like mixing color temperatures. So the reaction from most real estate agents when you're coming in to shoot a room is they turn all the lights on and it's broad daylight. And when you get competition of the bluish sunlight that comes in through the windows, combined with the tungsten, more yellow amber light from the whatever recessed lighting or whatever lighting's in the house, it can create just this clash. So in this instance, I'm okay with breaking that rule simply because the outside light is so much more overpowering than these tungsten balanced lights that they just add like a little tiny splash of color, but it's not like you have half of your image is lit with blue and half is orange. That's kind of really telltale, sort of an amateur look. The other tip that this leads me to is don't be afraid to come back for a shoot if you have the luxury. In this case, this is our house, so we can shoot any time of the day. I think this shot would be much stronger if it was more at dusk and the dominant light source was these accent lights here, and outside was a lot more dimmer. I think it really kind of captured that moody evening vibe.
The second one is a stationary focus rack shot. So this one sometimes is easier on a tripod or handheld. Sometimes it's nice to show something in the foreground and then something in the background, and using the focus, just a nice stationary shot, but using the depth of field to separate the two things. And that might be a nice way to showcase, again, a tile feature, or say like a chair in a living room and then a fireplace in the background, and just kind of get this nice cinematic, slow focus rack to show both things.
Much easier to do with a tripod.
The third shot within the detail shots, the stationary shot with a moving detail. So if you have something that you want to shoot that's moving, say a water feature, lighting a candle, you're putting somebody in the shot. So say somebody's walking into the shot to sit down, a fireplace, that's a nice kind of steady shot. You let the fire in the fireplace do all of the talking. No distracting moves, just a tripod shot. I love that. So in this shot here, Chris actually used the gimbal because we didn't have a boom arm on a tripod. So with the gimbal, he was able to kind of get that top-down shot by just holding the gimbal over the table. And that kind of, again, evokes that emotion, kind of sells what the vibe of the space is.
And that's also a good point that you mentioned, not overdoing the dynamic moving shots, because when you get a fancy new toy like a gimbal, you're gonna wanna have every shot moving, but that gets almost monotonous and predictable. You wanna kind of keep people on their toes with the edit, just like you don't always cut on the beat of a song, because then it gets really repetitive and predictable. You want to vary your shots, and there is something's very strong about a solid lockdown tripod style shot. I changed the gimbal to lock mode so that the camera would maintain the same orientation regardless of where my handle was moving, and then just held really still, held my breath, and then she couldn't get the match lit, and then the candle wouldn't light. I'm like,
that's a sin. So the last shot in the detail shot, this is a bonus shot that I like depending on the client, is that shot where you have somebody in the shot. So a lighting of the candle, a person walking in to sit on a couch or to sit up to a table, or showing off how to use the space. And sometimes that comes in handy when you have a really weird space and people are like, what do you do with this?
It works fantastic for businesses, commercial applications, even rental properties. Generally speaking though, be very cautious when you're using it for real estate listings, because generally putting other people in the home, it makes it hard sometimes for people to then see themselves in the home because they're seeing somebody else. So this video is not just about real estate listings. This video is about real estate imaging, video, which has a wide variety, commercial things, rentals, etc.
That's kind of my shot list. We got the wide sweeping shot, we've got the panning shot, the detail shot, and then within that we have that slow pan detail shot, the stationary focus rack, the stationary shot with a moving detail, and the bonus shot with somebody in it, whether it's a hand, person, whatever. With all of those shots, and you have your list in your pocket, you should be able to go into a property and shoot a nice dynamic video. Hopefully you've practiced your Steadicam creep, because you don't want to get home and see that bounce that we showed you earlier in this video. When you're shooting the property and you're not quite sure if you get it, watch the footage back, because you can.
And watch out for focus too.
The new Zhiyun Crane 2S has definitely changed the game now for us shooting interior shots. It's so much better than the old one. If you guys watch our channel a lot, we don't use a gimbal for everything, but we swear by using gimbals for home tours, room tours, real estate.
Now I found just using this for just a couple days now, it's so much faster.
You can lock all the axes at the top of the gimbal. So if you're walking around, it's not flopping around everywhere. Or if you want to change your lens, you can leave it locked in one place, which is incredible. And the feet allow it to sit on the table. So when you're balancing the crane, that's helpful. When you're switching lenses, having those locked.
And I found being able to lock each axis really helps when you're balancing it, because you can lock them all, so everything's locked in place, and then you can unlock one axis, balance that axis, and then okay, now it's balanced, move to the next axis.
Upgraded features, definitely worth it for us, and you'll be seeing more home stuff with that gimbal, hopefully with the A7S III.
Yes.
Whenever it arrives, it's back ordered. I'm excited about it. I'm just excited that it can fly this big heavy camera with big heavy lenses.
You're more likely to use it, your shots are therefore going to be better more often, and it's going to turn into downstream revenue for you. So for us, I'm glad we got it, because I'm going to use it a lot more now, simply because it was so much easier to set up.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Zhiyun, for sponsoring today's video. We're super pumped on the new Crane 2S. And hopefully you guys found this helpful. If you are interested in some more real estate videos, we actually have 2 more. One on how to shoot and edit interior photography, which is linked up here. And then we also have a video that I did with Lizzie Pierce on how to make money from real estate photography. So the same concepts apply to real estate video. So if you want to check that video out, it's linked up here. It's in the description box. So if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to this video. The ender just goes on and on.
It's the never-ending video.
We'll see you on the next one.
The never-ending video. Whoa, 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 whoa. You know that song? We're gonna watch that tonight.
What is
Never-ending
that?
story.
Is that a princess?
Falcor!
Is that a princess movie?
Falcor! No, well, it's like a fantasy
Is it
genre.
like Princess Bride?
Watch how aggressively this snaps in.
I know that you loves that movie.
I don't think I've ever sat through that whole movie.
I thought you loved that movie. Princess Diaries or Princess Bride or something you liked. I thought there was a princess movie you liked, and I can't remember what it was.
There wasn't. There was not.
Don't lie.
There was not.
Don't you lie. Let's go watch that Princess Bride movie you want to watch.
I don't want to watch A, I don't want to watch it. B, well, we didn't say we were going to watch that movie.
You said you want to watch Princess Bride.
No, I said we want to watch Never-Ending Story.
That sounds like Princess Bride.
It sounds nothing like Princess Bride.